let's check this out. Here is our current implementation of the flat lists. We have isolated, or like got the actual page outside as a separate component, and we're just spreading the item props. And for the item props that is connected to the data, we are preparing based on the number of pages. So for each page, we're preparing the data that needs to go in each of these pages, right? So we are returning an object that has the current page, or the page number, not the current page, but the page number for that page. What is the total expenses during that period? And the period is basically this, the recurrence. If it's weekly, monthly, or yearly. Then we have the average, which actually gets calculated by the number of expenses divided by the the total divided by the maximum, like the number of period units based on this recurrence. For example, and I'm talking about the last year. Actually, no, if the recurrence is weekly, yeah, then we're dividing the total with 7, right? Because we have 7 days in the week. If the recurrence is monthly, I'm calculating what is like the last day of the month, right? Because months can, like the days in the month can vary from 28 until 31st. So I want it to be pretty precise. So I'm getting the month, and I'm also getting the last day. So if it's the 31st, then I'm dividing the total with 31st, etc. And if it's a year, I'm just dividing it by 365. So that is the this is the data set, and we did this yesterday. Previously we had everything hooked up into a state variable, was in a reducer. There's the reducer. We had the recurrence, the number of pages, all of these things. Actually, I need to remove some of these things. Yeah, recurrence and number of pages. We used to track the page as well, but we don't need it now, so we can easily remove that. And yeah, basically the flat list accepts the data property, and for each of the data items inside, we render a reports page, right? We have the option to render a component of our choice. And that's what's happening. Inside of the report page, we have basically this, let me see, this component inside, the contents of it, right? We have the header here, the chart, the list of expenses. And yeah, the data is passed through props, and we're just rendering the whole view structure here. And that's about it. This is how we achieved the pager view. As you can see, this is the last page on the right, and it is the current period. So from 9th of January until the 15th, that seems correct. We scroll, if we swipe right, we'll go to the previous period, and I'm currently set on weekly, right? So we are looking at weeks. This is last week, and this is the week before that, etc. If we switch, for example, to monthly view, we'll see January, and this is December, and so on and so on. And the yearly view just displays all of our expenses in this year, and currently we're like 2023. I wanted to change this. I wanted to refactor this so we can't really see only the current year. But my idea was to get all of the expenses that are saved in the local database and find the year of the first reported expense. So for example, if we're using this app for 5 years, it'll be cool to actually be able to go back 3 years and check your expenses, and like basically check your expenses style and if it's changed since then. So I think that'll be a cool feature to implement. But yeah, right now we just want to install and set up Sentry into our project and see where it takes us. Okay, so I'm going to open a browser. I'm going to open sentry.io, and I'm not logged in. Let me quickly log in. And we are going to see how we can implement Sentry in a React Native app. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is my Sentry organization. First, we need to create a new project. Okay, so it is going to be a React Native. Let's try to find it. React Native project. I'll create the alerts later, and we are going to name the project Goodbye Money -React Native, because actually that is the name of the repo as well. So github/Nicola/Flazar/Goodbye Money React Native. Okay, so it's without the dash. Let's use this naming so we are consistent. So this is going to be the name, and create project. Nice. So what we need to do is install the Sentry React Native package. And while that is happening, we need to do the linking. Link the SDK to your native projects to enable native crash reporting. If you're running projects with React Native less than 0.60, you still need to call React Native link. We don't. I think we're like on 70 something. React Native, yeah, 70. So that's good. Otherwise, you can skip this step, as React Native bigger than 60 does this automatically. Okay. The call to Sentry wizard will patch your project accordingly, though you can link manually if you prefer. Let's use the wizards. So I'm going to get this line, and as you can see, we have iOS and Android, but right now I only have an iOS project. I don't have an Android project. So I'm going to skip the Android, the last part right here. Oh wait, you can't really see that. Hold on, let me move. How did you move the... Oh man, that's terrible. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Oh, stop. Okay, I wanted to show you the actual command. So here's the actual command: npx Sentry wizard -I React Native -P iOS and Android. So I'm not using Android right now in my app, so I think I should be able to skip Android because I don't have a folder for Android. I only have it for iOS. Or we should run it as it is. Yeah, let's actually run it as it is. Okay, so when you run this, you are met with a new screen that looks like this. Return to your terminal to complete your setup. So basically, you need to log in to your Sentry account, and then you can basically the CLI will link your account with your projects. As we can see, we have all of our projects here. So Goodbye Money React Native is our project. We selected this, and that's it. There we go. So successfully set up Android for React Native and also iOS for React Native. Let's see, what do we get? We also get an Android project, and inside we have the sentry.properties file. And in package.json we have the new Sentry at React Native. Nice. Okay, so this should be good. We already did this. Then we need to initialize the SDK. Yeah, this needs to be at the topmost level in app.js. So I'm just going to grab this. get here, there we go, we import everything as Sentry, and then we initialize it with our DSN, and we set the trace sample rate to 1. This needs to change in production because you don't want to trace all of the like 100% of the occurrences or the sessions. You might not get as much value if you trace 100% of the sessions, but your Sentry capacity, your capacity of your project or organization will go extremely fast. So we'll keep it at 1 for debug, but we can change that later for production. Okay, we initialize this, and okay, we also need to wrap our app with the Sentry. There we go. Export default function app. We actually need to do sentry.wrap. Okay, so I'm going to just declare this as an ordinary function and actually do this. So we are exporting the Sentry wrapped version of our app. There we go. And then we can create an intentional error so we can test that everything is working. We can just do throw new error and we should be able to see that. Or try a native crash. So I'm gonna try both. Okay. Let's go to expenses screen. That is this screen right here, and I'll add 2 buttons that trigger these 2 functionalities. So total for this week, there's the other view with the $sign and this, and then we have the expenses list. So I'm going to add a touchable opacity here. I'm going to import. Okay, we already have the text. Yeah. Simulate crash. There's 1. And also add another one, simulate native crash. So the on press on this is going to be the throw new error. So we can validate that. Oh. And the other one on press, it's going to be the sentry.native crash. And we also need to import Sentry. Import everything as Sentry from Sentry React Native. Nice. Okay, now we can do npm run iOS to run our app and actually see what we get. Oh, wait a minute. Couldn't install pods, updating the pods and trying again. Yeah, we were supposed to run pod install, right? Kind of skipped that. Yes. After the wizard, we actually needed to cd into the iOS. Zoom up a bit. We actually needed to cd into the iOS directory and run pod install, but I think this did it for us. Yeah. Yeah, installed pods and initialized Xcode workspace. Nice. Okay. And this is taking a bit. Eric Hogan, how lucky are we to get 2 streams back to back? Yeah, and we'll also have one more tomorrow. So 3 streams back to back. Let's do this. Okay, there we go. Let's check it out. Yeah, we better get the React Native done tomorrow. Definitely. I'm also really interested in the Android one. Alright, y'all. Check it out. We have these 2 buttons. I'm not gonna press them just yet. But I wanna see. There's also performance, and this is manual. Yeah, this is manual instrumentation. It does have automatic instrumentation out of the box, so we should be able to see that. But if you want to measure a specific function method, you can do that. So Sentry works on top of transactions. Like a transaction is a concept that carries up all of the metrics, right? All the performance metrics. And when we start a transaction, basically it starts measuring, we can add a lot of child spans, any child span that we want. And then at the end, we can say transaction.finish, and that's going to send all of the metrics, all of the performance metrics into our Sentry dashboard so we can check it out. For now, we're not going to be doing this. I just want to go to the performance tab and just play with the app. You know, this should be generating Sentry transactions. All right, see that? It froze. I'm not sure why. We also had that previously, but also like the whole, it's not the app that's frozen. Like, yeah, that's weird. Let's check it out again. Like Expo actually froze. Let's see. Are we gonna get anything? Okay. Okay. So far, so good. Nope, still not. Okay, in that case, let's check out the actual crash. There we go. My first Sentry error. Now let's go back into the issues and pick the Goodbye Money React Native. I'm gonna lock this. There we go. My first Sentry error. Beautiful. We can also try the native crash as well. And then we can see what happens. Okay, that's reasonable. All right, so for the ordinary crash, we can see this, right? We have the error itself. It happened on a touchable opacity inside of the on-press prop. But that's not enough, right? We do get the actual line here. We can also hook it up with our source. So let's actually do that. Go to GitHub, find the correct repo and path to the file. And then copy and paste it below. Now, there was actually a difference. Let me see. Integrations, GitHub. There's a configuration. There we go, repository. So I need to add my goodbye money React Native one. There we go. And that is the, whoop, that is not the correct repo. This is the one that we're looking for. And I believe I need to push. So it gets mapped easily. Okay, 2:31. That is like -1 hour because it's UTC. 2 minutes ago, our Sentry integration pushed the source maps. And that's good. And that's good. Okay, cool. Let's go back here and continue on looking at the error. We are going to get more after we map out the actual, repository with our Sentry project. But yeah, it says that in expenses.tsx file, and as you can see, it cannot really prefix it because it's not aware of the project structure. On line 82, we have this issue here. If it was like an API call or something like that, basically it'll give you a little snippet of your actual source code. So you'll know where the crash is. There we go. These are the breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs are basically how the user reached to the point where the crash happened. Right, so we immediately click the button, so there's directly, the exception itself. But you're going to see UI events here, like the user pressed this button and navigated to this screen, etc., etc. You get info on the user, and usually users just have an ID, but there's an API. If your app has authentication, in your authenticated callback, you can actually hook into Sentry's current hub and obtain the current scope and basically set the user to the current scope, right? So after logging in, when the user uses the app, it's going to, like, everything is going to be tied to that user. And if we do that, we're going to see the user here. So we'll know which person experienced the crash. But that is like, yeah, only if you would want to. Okay, there's the app build. What type of device is it? How many, what's the free memory of the device? When the crash happened? The storage itself? What is the memory size? What is the model? Screen height and resolution and width? Is it a simulator? Yes, in our case it is. What's the storage, the usable memory, locale, etc. So it gives you a lot of information, like hardware and software, based on the crash, which is pretty cool. We can also implement a screenshot functionality as well. So I'm going to stop this. We can go back to the app TSX. And where we have this attached screenshot, you can set this to true. There's a lot of options here that you can see, and we can also set the debug to true so we can see in our terminal what's going on. I'm gonna run this again now. Okay. So Sentry is going crazy. It's adding breadcrumbs, as you can see, but I think it might be our implementation of the tab bar at the bottom. Not sure. But let's simulate another crash. And I'm gonna stop this. And we'll go back now. Go back to the issue. This is the native crash. We'll check that out later. But we should have another event on this one. There we go, 2 events. Okay, so the trace cannot be found. We'll see why, but check out the screenshots. See how the simulate crash button is? It's like the opacity is lower. That's because it's a touchable opacity, right? The user clicked on this button right here, on this touchable opacity, and the app crashed, and this is how their screen looked like. I mean, how cool is that? You can see the last thing that the user saw before the crash, and that'll give you more than enough info for you to be, as the developer, to be able to fix the bug, right? Yeah, so there's that. There's the breadcrumbs. Now I need to see why this happened. But basically, before we touch this, there's the exception, but there's the touch event. We touch an event within the element text. So there's the component tree. This is basically our whole screen, right? There's more of these. I need to see the /logs, what that is. But yeah, everything else is pretty much the same in terms of the data. We now have an attachment, of course, the screenshot. You can download the screenshot, send emails, etc. And we can also view the full stack trace if we wanted to, which also adds these steps. There we have the native code and then the call function return flushed queue. Yeah. Okay. This is cool. This is pretty cool. Now let's check out the native crash. So here's how the native crash looks like. As you can see, the native crash actually happens in a UI view controller, which of course, yeah, that is the native parts of iOS. And this is the info that we get. Exception bad access. Attempted to dereference null pointer. So there's the crash. This is of course a native crash. And we can check it out on native level where it actually happens. Right, in our case, we can't really I guess we can't really see much info about it because this is a it's a native crash, and I still don't know how to decipher the native crashes, but yeah, as you can see, it happened within the Sentry SDK crash method because that's the one that we use. We use the native crash. Let's see, Sentry.native crash. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, you get the idea. If you're a native expert, you'll be able to read this. I'm not. At least it's been a long time, so I've forgotten all about this. But yeah, pretty much the same thing. As you can see, we have all of these breadcrumbs. There's a type or category for each of the breadcrumbs. This is a user action. This is a navigation. Right, so we've navigated to a different screen. This is a user action as well. This is a debug console. And this was the first error that we actually triggered, and afterwards we actually triggered the native crash. And this is an HTTP requests. So within the breadcrumbs, you get all of these informations, like what the user did, like what the user actions were. Are there any navigation events or HTTP requests, and so on. And yeah, it will give you a much better idea. There's a device event as well. Keyboard did show notification. Beautiful. So we know at some point when the user used the app, the keyboard was opened, right? That's cool. And yeah, again, the same level of info for every crash. And that's it. Yeah, we can add much more to this. Like, you can supplement every transaction with custom data if you would want to, like set the user or set any tags, etc. But yeah, Let me just put the charger in. Yeah, this is what we get. Nice. Let's check out the performance tab. We still don't have anything. Let's check out the setup. So React Native. There we go, React Native tracing. So we do need to enable. Oh, this is the prior to 3.0.0. We need to include it. If we are in 3.0.0 and above, we don't need to. Let's check our versions. Sentry 4.13.0. So we don't actually need to add the tracing, React Native tracing. We need to configure the traces sample rate, and we actually did. And yeah, verify that the performance monitoring is working correctly by using our automatic instrumentation. We did the wrapping, rerouting. Okay, we didn't do this basically for React navigation, v4 and prior, and React Native navigation. Okay. In our case, we use React navigation /native. Right, so that would be this, I guess. What's the version of React navigation? What is Sentry /arc? Where did you see that? Arc is my browser. So I'm not using Chrome or anything, I'm using just Arc. I'm not sure where Sentry /arc is. I don't know. But yeah, let's check out the package version of React navigation. Version 6. Okay, so React navigation. Oh, what is Sentry? Yeah, Sentry is the platform that we're using to measure performance within our app in production and also collect all of the crashes and issues that might happen in our app. So here's what we got so far. If you go to the issues, this is Sentry. So if you go to the issues and select your project, as you can see I got a lot, but yeah, this is my Goodbye Money React Native, the one that we just created. Every time the app crashes in production, you're gonna get the issue here. And as you can see, this is a React Native crash, right? So touchable opacity on press, that's where the error happened. The message is my first Sentry error. You also get a screenshot of the exact moment when the error happened. And here is the call stack to the exact line. Like this is the actual line. Throw new error, my first Sentry error. You also get the breadcrumbs, how the user got to this point, like all of the HTTP requests that the app made and the user actions. Yeah. And also any hardware and software info. Like here's the app info. Here's the device info. What is the architecture? When was the last time that it was booted? 22 days before this event. It's iOS, right? What is the free memory at that time? The free storage, memory size, model ID, and all of these things like resolution, screen resolution. In our case, it's a simulator, but if it's a device, it's gonna say something else. And yeah, kernel version, like operating system info, trace details. There's the attachment, the screenshot that we just saw, and the current SDK, Sentry SDK. So 4.13.0. There we go. And yeah, this is what the developers see in Sentry when they get a crash. This is the React Native one. There's also just a native crash. So we trigger this one so we can test it out. It's a UI view controller crash, basically. It's a bad access one, attempted to dereference a null pointer. That's the actual crash, and you also get the native stack trace here. Again, breadcrumbs. You got the breadcrumbs, you got the same info, hardware and software. And yeah, this happened before we actually added the feature of capturing screenshots. So it doesn't really have a screenshot, but it will. If we actually did it again, we'll see a screenshots. And yeah, that is the two crashes that we saw. I'm curious to see what we can do about the instrumentation. Navigation container. We actually use that. Yeah, navigation container. Version 5 and above. If you use React Navigation version 4, see this. Our version was like 6. So we need to be doing this, right? We need to add a new integration for the routing instrumentation. I'm going to grab this line and actually add it here. So we have the sentry in it. We're going to create the routing instrumentation. Here's the, like, all you need to do in order to get the screenshots is just do attach screenshots true inside of your sentry init, and that's it. Debug is just so I can see what happens under the hood. And yeah, I guess these are the logs, the actual logs. So I'm going to remove that for now. I want to add the integration. Okay, so we open a new array and then we just do new Sentry React Native tracing. And we pass the routing instrumentation here from the React Navigation instrumentation. Beautiful. Okay, now let's see if that's like... okay, we also need to register it. Good, okay. So we need a ref on our navigation container, and we also need the onReady event. Let's check that out. Here's our navigation container. Inside we have this stack navigator. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm going to create the navigation ref. Ref here, use ref. I guess just use ref, yeah. I'll set the ref navigation ref like so, and then the onReady event, we don't have any arguments, so we just want to register the navigation container like this, and this should be navigation ref. Yeah, okay. This is a class component, still the same, onReady, go for it. You can configure the instrumentation by passing an option object to the constructor. So in here, we can do some configuration, like how long the instrumentation will wait for the route to mount after the change has been initiated. The default one is like 1 second. But if you anticipate more, like the navigation to be a bit slower for some reason, I don't know, you can actually configure that here in the arguments when you're creating the React Native instrumentation. And that is this guy right here. There's the route change. By default is like 1000 milliseconds, but yeah, we can change that to 500 if you wanted to. I'm just gonna leave it by default. And that looks like it, right? This is the v4. This is the React Native navigation instructions, but we don't use this package. Right? We use the React navigation. But yeah, there are some instructions for that package as well. There's the Android X support. What you need to do, and yeah, of course there's like the tracing origins. You can pass them here. Yeah, to configure the automatic performance, you will need to add the React Native tracing integration yourself. We actually did that. We provide many options by default. These are all of the possible options. There's the possibility to create or like do something before the actual navigation, like add the contexts. You get the context, you can add some stuff to it. To uppercase, there's a custom tag, etc. Yeah. Okay, but it seems like we already did that. There's also the width profiler, so let's check this out. Currently, by default, the React Native SDK will only create child spans for fetch or XHR transactions. We don't have any fetch or XHR transactions. This means once you're done setting up your routing instrumentation, you will either just see just a few fetch XHR child spans or no children at all. To find out how to customize, go to the custom instrumentation and we can create our own custom transactions. There's also the React profiler. After you instrument your app's routing, if you wrap a component that renders on one of the routes with profiler, you'll be able to track the component's lifecycle as a child span of the route transaction. So that's cool, right? And we can check this one out. Cool. I'm going to try it out without that to see what we get. So npm run iOS. And then we'll see, we'll add the width profiler wrapper here and we'll see what we get. But now I also have the routing instrumentation, so let's see what that gives us. This is not going to be caught by the navigator because it's a list. It's not actually navigating. I think basically this is navigating, or I think we messed it up because the navigation container contains only home and categories. So that is bad architecture. Now we have a new navigation event because the category screen is a different screen within the stack, and inside of the home screen we have a tab navigator, and yeah, that tab navigator actually controls these. So I'm curious to see what we're going to get. Take some time to actually get the events. You can also set up. Oh yeah, for React Native it's not supported, just for the native ones. Okay, we don't care about that in that case. Yeah, so a sample transaction for React Native should look something like this. So we got the chart right here of all of the categories of the spans and how much time they took each, and then we also have everything that happens and how much time it took. For example, we can see here that getting the hammer resource took 800 milliseconds, right? And that is like the largest span. So if we wanted to optimize it, if we wanted to optimize our app further, we can look into this image, right? We also get the breadcrumbs as well. And yeah, there's the example user. If we were to set it up, right, we can set the email, the ID, the IP address, the name, whatever we have on the users. And this is a web transaction, so we have the name of the browser and the version, the operating system, and there's also the Redux state. As you can see, Erica had the hammer in her products. Okay. But let's see why we don't actually get any of our transactions. I mean, we don't have any API calls. Slow database queries. We do have a database. I guess we do need to create custom instrumentation. But actually first, let's try the width profiler. Let's try that one. So, I'm going to wrap the reports page. Okay, and I'm going to import everything as Sentry from Sentry React Native. Okay, that works. Now we just need to export report page. Hold on. Okay, so there's the report page. Now, do you have a plan on releasing the SwiftUI version to the App Store? Nah, I used to have a developer's account. I used to pay like $100 every year, but I stopped using it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut this expense. So, so I opted out. Okay, so our reports pages are now wrapped with Sentry Profiler. I don't have the debug on. There's an event that happened. Okay, yeah, this is before we actually fixed it. Yeah. I don't know, let's see what we get now. Maybe, yeah. Maybe we need an API call or something like that, because right now our app might not contain anything that is affected by the automatic transaction, automatic instrumentation. Yeah. Exactly. Because for example, if we switch something else, let's see, last 30 days. This is a Next.js one. There's a Flutter one. But it has been more than 30 days. What about this one? Yeah, I can't see anything right now. But as you can see, you kind of get the idea that you would see the slowest frames, the most frozen frames, all of these things. But I'm not sure why we're not seeing any of these. So let's check out app tsx, and I'm going to add the debug. There's the breadcrumb. SDK initialized. Add the breadcrumb. Integration installed for the frames tracking integration. auto session tracking, out of memory tracking. Okay, so not gonna enable performance tracking integration because is tracing enabled is disabled. Okay, let's actually see that. But that's not here, right? This is the navigation. There's a routing. Upstart tracking. Default is true. Okay. Track slow frozen frames from the native layer and adds them as measurements to all transactions. So there's no default true. That means this one is false. Track when and how long the JS event loop stalls for. Add stalls as measurements to all transactions. This one is false as well. We got the traces sample rate set to 100% or 1.0. We do attach screenshots and we are in debug mode. There's also the network because ease tracing is disabled. I'm not sure where that is. Yeah, I'm not sure where that is. So maybe this is the issue. Is tracing is disabled. Let's Google that. Oh, okay. Let me sign in. We should be looking for the is tracing enabled. This is an option. But it's a method, no. Sentry options. These are the React Native options. Enable native transport device info offline caching. Be careful, disabling this also breaks. Default is true, okay. Auto initialize native SDK, but default is true. Enable auto performance tracking. Let's actually add that. Set this to true. What is there? Auto session, app hang. Let's turn on the app hang. And I don't know, the auto session. One of these like could be, yeah, by default is true, so we don't actually need this. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this and run it again. Maybe there's a difference because we're using Expo. Maybe that's the case. Not capturing client. Clean this. Switch to the monthly one. And we go to the yearly one. And let's see if we get anything now. I'm not sure if it's Expo or something like that. Maybe it's Expo. Oh, wait, there's an Expo package. Century Expo, okay. Did this enable in Expo development? True, okay. So probably we needed to do this. Upload source maps. And also the Expo plugin. Yeah, maybe this is what we're missing, because this is not an ordinary React Native. This is an Expo app. Hey, we should have started with that. Yeah. Okay, so let's actually move over there. Expo install Sentry Expo. We already have the init and all these things. Then we need to add these packages. Okay. We already did this, but I want to add the enable. Oh, okay. So we're importing Sentry from Sentry Expo now. And I also want to do this, enable in Expo development. So let's do that. Sentry from Sentry Expo. So we're not gonna be needing this, I believe. And also the tracing, because Expo knows about that, so yeah. And we also don't need to wrap our app, probably. Yeah. So there's the new configuration. You can access any exports via Sentry.native for web, Sentry.browser. Okay. App configuration. Are you using the classic build? Or using this library in a bare bones React Native app? No? Okay, so we need to configure a post publish hook in order to upload our source maps. We kind of already have that. There's the Sentry Expo plugin. But still, we have hooks inside of Expo. Post publish, organization project, and authentication token. Okay, that's gonna be fun. So we don't want to expose our authentication token right there. Yeah. Sentry org, Sentry project, and Sentry authentication token. Nice. How do we add them in React Native? Is there like a .env configuration? Let's see. Expo environment variables. App config. So you want to automatically load environment variables from a file in your project rather than setting them in your shell? Yeah, you may want to use an envrc or env file. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so in that case, we can do config. Yeah, probably not. I'm not gonna add the config. I'm just gonna add the upload source maps, but I'm gonna set these environment variables. So deleting the config, we're just going to have the post publish hook to upload our source maps. But in here, I'm going to make a .env.example so we can push this file, right? So Sentry org, Sentry project, and auth token. Beautiful, right? Nice. So I am going to duplicate this file. And this is the actual .env. I'm going to add this into the git ignore so it doesn't get pushed. There we go. And I'm gonna add these and be right back. So you don't steal my authentication token. That would be bad. Okay. Right now I'm going into my Sentry dashboard to obtain the values. There's my organization. My project is Goodbye Money React Native. And I also need an authentication token. Okay, so I've set that up. I have my .env file here. I provided the values. So let's see now. Did this? The Sentry Expo plugin is already there. And this actually happens. We saw that the source maps are uploaded. Yeah, so I guess we can just run this. npm run iOS. Yeah, so now it's a different story, right? Now we use the Sentry Expo package, which should be more aware of our navigation, of all of these things. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait for the pod install and Xcode workspace stuff. Alright, so stay with me. Come on, let's go. I think builds in Flutter, when we used to work with Flutter, they were a bit faster. Like they were faster than this. Didn't have to wait that much for these kind of things. Bam, build file. Okay, what is up? Can't even see that up. No central config found in app.json. Build will fall back to environment variables, okay? Okay, so the idea is that we remove these, okay. Well, yeah, right? So if you don't want to use these, how are we going to... Environment variables for your config if you prefer. Sentry org. Should I just do... like this, or... I don't get this. How do we add the environment variables into the JSON? Like, how do we tell it to get it from there? Okay, so we're missing this, yeah. It's not in the docs. Refer to Sentry React Native docs on how to configure this. I don't think it's that. I think this is the issue. But I also don't want to just leave it like this. It doesn't make really, like, any sense. Manage and bear projects. There's a linking, but we don't need the linking because... What if I were to leave these empty? Let's try that. Because it's fine that we see that, you know, docs tells us to provide a config, but then we said it asks us, do you prefer to use environment variables? Yeah, and these are the environment variables, but what about these? How do these values change when we actually revert to environment variables? Again? No way. Run script build phase will be run during every build because it does not specify any outputs. But this is a warning, it's not really an error. What is going on? I'm gonna delete the .expo and try that again. No, it's still the same error. Why is that? Alright, so non-module Sentry React Native script collect modules, no such file or directory. Okay, what is that? Let's actually try to trace it. So no modules. Add Sentry. React Native. Scripts. Okay, there we go. So probably this. No. Collect modules. Okay. I've added the environment variables inside of quotes. So I'm gonna switch over to my camera view so I can edit and remove the quotes from them. Maybe that is the issue. Let's try it again. Maybe that was the issue. Nope, that is not the issue. Now maybe then we deleted the Expo. I don't know. npx Expo install, I guess. So just like install anything. Okay. Nope. I don't want to add, like, why? Config, okay, let's try the config empty. Nope. Let's try this. Nope. Still looking for that collect modules. Why Expo? Oh, wait a minute. We are still using we're still importing Sentry like this. So I believe we should actually fix this. So Sentry Expo, we should be using a Sentry Expo probably, right? Reports page, there we go again. Sentry Expo. There's no width profiler anymore, so we're going to remove that. .native crash. Actually, there is a profiler, but I actually need to use that. Sentry Expo, so I'm gonna return this to Sentry.native with profiler. Okay, probably we don't need to wrap our app.js because we needed to. Sentry native wrap the app, right? There's the inits. Then the add configuration. App.json or app config. Maybe I should do app config.js instead, and then yeah, because if we're in JS, I can do process.env, and then we can have the, yeah, let's try that actually. app.config.js. So I'm gonna add module.exports, export all of these, and then I can do process.env.sentry _org and do the same for the project and the authentication token. Yeah, app config.js. Exactly. All right, let's actually try it now. Nope. Okay. It's still the collect modules. That is impossible. That's impossible. Not even sure if the hooks is the issue. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. It's actually something else. And what is that something else? Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. No idea what I'm doing. Why does it require the collect modules.sh? No such file. Of course there is no such file. Like, just open up the node modules and you'll see that there is no such file. Okay, like, I don't know. Okay, so maybe the version matches what Century Expo depends on. All right, let's check out that package first. So maybe that's the issue. So Century Expo, we need to search for the Century Expo and find out what is the dependency. Century Expo. Okay, so 490. Okay, 490. So that means I need to match this version. Century React Native 490. It is actually 490. So that's weird. Okay, so I guess it's not that, right? Force foreground. Okay, let's go ahead and try to open CD iOS. I'm going to open the Goodbye Money Xcode workspace. Okay, build phases, upload debug symbols, Central CLI, upload DSYM, debug symbols, but this is not in the build script. Central CLI, bin Central CLI, upload DSYM. No. Okay, there we go. React Native Xcode SH. And then there's, okay, there's the line here. You see that? Collect modules. That's not working. So Central CLI React Native Xcode, and then there's a slash React Native Xcode. There we go. Then there's this thing. We can add force foreground, but this is not the issue, right? This is the issue, the collect modules thingy. Yeah. There is no collect modules. Sweet. Sweet Jesus. Okay. We are going to go to app.tsx, remove the debug, run it again. Okay, we're kind of seeing something running, etc. We've uploaded a bunch of debug symbols, so if I open that page, we should see more than one. Projects, React Native. Only one source maps, and this is the first one. Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna name this groceries, bills, I don't know, takeout. Make this like a yellow. Okay, so the get random values. When we try to please polyfill crypto get random values. Okay. We'll check that later. So $18.99 for burgers. I'm gonna select the takeout. Submit. Okay, there's the burgers thingy. That is so weird. We should have gotten the performance. I mean, we don't have any custom instrumentation, but like anything, man. Expo is weird. Maybe that collect method that we can't really find. The properties are set correctly. Well, and enable in Expo development true is set. All your dev local errors will be ignored and only app releases will report errors to Sentry. You can call methods like capture exception, but these methods will be no up. Okay, but we do have this set to true, so we shouldn't worry about that. Oh wait. Expenses screen. Okay, it's a throw, so it should be counted. There's a new one. No screenshots now. It's in main.js bundle, so that's not cool. No data. Okay, so I guess we should not be using the Expo stuff because we got more data using only the React Native package. I'm not sure why though. Maintained by the Expo team. Like, should we do that? If you're using Expo, see how to add sentry. Yeah. Touch event boundary. Okay, but that's not it. And we set this up, set everything up, but I feel like there is some shady thing going with the Expo package. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to check this out with the theme because I have no idea what's going on. But this thing doesn't really give us the correct stuff. And when we try to choose it, we'll try to print useful debugging. Yeah, I know. This was weird. So probably the way to go is in the JS and do this in process.env. Guess that would work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what could be the issue, honestly. I mean, we're getting less info now with the Expo package. Come on. Waiting on the native event. That one came pretty later though, so maybe we should just wanna wait it out or restart the app. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. There's a new error. And there's the latest one. No, this is the what? It was the oldest. Let's see all of the events. $230 something, but that's not the one. 231. No. Should actually see another one. We got 2 events. But they're under the same release, of course. Maybe that's the case. Okay, so using the Expo package, we lost the ability to attach screenshots. Yeah. So that's not cool. That's not cool. We had more info on the Sentry package, using the Sentry package as opposed to the Expo package. Okay. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna run this by our fellow engineers and I'll try to debug it, I'll try to fix it. And tomorrow we can actually see what's going on. If I fix it, I'll explain what the fix was actually. And yeah, but it's, I don't know, it was weird. Using the official Sentry package, we had more info than using the Expo package, which is made by Expo for our framework, which is Expo, right? So someone might think that we'll get more out of the Expo, but it's the opposite in this case. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna run this by the fellow engineers, and yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'll have an answer for you, because it's bugging me. I'm not happy now. I'm so not happy now. But yeah, that's the life of the software engineers. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's like a scheduled events. Ivan, awesome, thanks so much, Lazar, keep up the hard work. Yeah, thank you, Ivan, thanks for stopping by. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to solve it by tomorrow's stream, so we can see what the issue is and how can we implement. Should we use the Expo package or not? That is the question. And how can we do some performance stuff so we can see how our app is performing, right? Take care, everyone, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.